Now, Eyewitness Sports.
Welcome into episode 8 of WPRI Double OT with Mark Dondero and Yianni Caracas. Wave quickly to the Facebook Live, folks. All right, a lot to get to on this Monday. So much happened yesterday. We start with the NBA Finals because it was historic. Cleveland has a championship, first time since 1964. Mark, they were down 3-1. So the question I pose to you, did the Cavaliers win this series, or did the 73-9 Golden State Warriors lose the series?
Well, I think it was a little bit of both. It has to be in a situation like this. A little bit of both comes into play. But the answer that I will give is that it was more the Cavaliers winning the series. They took advantage of breaks they got. They seized control of games, of quarters, and ultimately of the championship. When Draymond Green was suspended, they took advantage of that. They got it done in Game 5. They won 2 games on the road. And besides, the Warriors' numbers, I mean, they weren't brutal. The Cavs made adjustments. The Warriors got some stuff to go. But, you know, in crunch time, especially in the fourth quarter of Game 5 and Game 7, Steph Curry didn't get it done.
He did not get it done.
Of course, there was a little bit of them blowing it.
Right.
But it was more Kyrie, 41, LeBron, 41. That's taking control. That's getting it done and taking care of business.
I have to agree with you, and we hate to do this, is pretty much not answering the question, but I have to push too, because I think the Cavaliers, as you said, kind of stole the series. They won it, but they earned it. But at the same time, the Warriors, you're 73-9, the greatest regular season ever. You're up 3-1 going home for Game 5. I don't care who you're playing. You have to close that out, right? So we use this word blow because it's very black and white. I don't know if they blew it, but they missed an opportunity for sure. But you don't blow it to a team of the Cavs ilk with one of the top 5 greatest players of all time, LeBron James.
Right.
If they had lost to the New Orleans Pelicans, they blow that.
Well,
but the Cavs were a worthy opponent, and as you mentioned, the Warriors didn't completely melt down. They still played pretty good. Their jump shots weren't falling as much as they had previously, but the Cavs, I think the Cavs showed more grit, more heart, more determination, and they won and deserved to win the series.
That's why I'm saying that it's more Cleveland winning it. Yes, of course, they did blow it a little bit, but I go back to the Masters when Jordan Spieth. Did he melt down? Did he collapse? I don't think he collapsed.
Right.
He choked on one hole and couldn't recover. A collapse is when you completely lose your way. And I think that's what blowing it would be.
Yeah.
Over the course of they had a 3-1 lead. They should have closed it out.
I was rooting for Cleveland, for the city, and I've, in a weird way, have started rooting for LeBron because I didn't like him, and I liked him as an underdog role. You wanted Golden State, right? So
I was pulling for Golden State. I wasn't angry.
There was no portion of you that was like, this is cool for LeBron.
Oh, there was. Of course there was. At the end, I was happy for Cleveland. I was happy for LeBron. I was just pulling a little bit more for
What did you think of the
Golden
wrist thing?
State. The wrist
I thought
thing.
he'd broken his wrist. He was crying in pain.
For a minute, I said to myself, well, initially I thought that's a heck of a flop. And then for a second said, is he really hurt? I mean, could he really be hurt right now as he's going to go to the line to seal the deal for the city of Cleveland in the NBA Finals Game 7? I was like, no. And then he got up.
If he had missed both of those and the Warriors hit a 3.
Well, he missed the first one, right?
He missed the first,
Oh, my gosh.
Then
He rattled in the second one, so we were good. Speaking of LeBron James, captures his 3rd NBA championship, 3rd NBA Finals MVP. We all know about the accolades, the hardware. Given all that, where does he rank on your all-time list of NBA players?
I was just saying this in our sports office. I labored over this decision. I hate to be a prisoner of the moment, but I'm putting him number 2 behind Michael Jeffrey Jordan, who will never be surpassed. I don't care if someone wins 10 finals, because Jordan was my hero growing up, and that's the end of that. Six MVPs, 6 finals. You talk Larry Bird, you talk Magic Johnson, Kareem, Russell, Wilt Chamberlain. Got some numbers in front of me. Bird, 3 MVPs, 3 titles. Magic, 3 MVPs, 5 titles. Kareem, 6 titles, 6 MVPs. So Russell, what did Russell have? 11 titles. Some people have better accolades than him. LeBron's number 2, eyeball test. We've never seen anything like him on a basketball court, Mark. At 6'9", 240, to do the things that he can play 1 through 5. Much like Magic Johnson once did previously in his career. To win titles in 2 different cities, I think Kareem won early pre-Lakers, but none of these guys did that. To win one for his hometown. And the combination of points, assists, and rebounds, I mean, he is a complete player. And while his career is still ongoing, 13 years in, he still has some damage to do. I think when all is said and done, he comes in the league at 18. He's going to be top 10 in points, assists, rebounds, 3 titles, 2 different cities. So part of it also has to do, Mark, that I've seen him in person and grew up watching his whole career, much like Jordan, and I didn't see as much Bird, Magic, Kareem, Russell. So I'm going to put him 2.
I agree, because I also have him at number 2. At the risk of, as you said, being prisoner of the moment, I didn't see Larry Bird much. I certainly didn't see Russell or Wilt or Kareem much, or at all. But I have him at 2, behind Michael Jordan. And I think that the one thing, I'm not going to belabor this point, but if he does win 6 and has gone to 11 finals or whatever it is, I would entertain that he might be better than Jordan, because that's a long ways off. But what I will say is the reason I have him at 2 is in any sport, when there's athletes of today, now, I favor them. That's just what I do. Back then, back in the day, and I have respect for all those guys, Larry Bird, Magic, all of them. Back in the day, the athlete wasn't as superior as they are now. It just wasn't the case.
Right.
There's better technology. There's better nutritional information now. You could go different sports.
If Bird and LeBron played one-on-one today, you'd feel like LeBron would run circles around him.
I'm glad you brought that up. Let me go over my criteria for deciding who is the best of all time. I look at 2 things: resume and who would win in a one-on-one game. If the resume totally outweighs what I think would happen in the one-on-one game, I'll listen more to the resume. But when you look at a guy like Larry Bird and LeBron James, because I know they've been compared, I would think LeBron would blow by Larry Bird and dunk on his face. I know Larry would cut your heart out and eat it, and he makes the shots. But LeBron is a superior athlete, and I will go with that. The competition, I would guess, is much more fierce nowadays than it was back in the 80s. As far as depth goes, that's just a guess. I could be wrong. But I'm going to go with LeBron because of that, because of the time he plays and the competition he faces. And the other thing is, you take Bird off of some of the teams he was on, Magic off of those teams.
They all had great
They're probably
casts.
still all in the playoffs.
Yeah.
All those teams. You take LeBron off the Cavs, they have
very
no chance.
valuable.
No chance at all.
Very valuable.
So he's number 2.
All right. In light of the Warriors losing 73-9, and it's funny talking about LeBron, Curry doesn't get the same heat LeBron does in social media on the media. But at any rate, worst collapse, 2007 Patriots, which pains many in this region because they were 16-0 on the doorstep of 19-0. The greatest football team of all time. We know what happened. David Tyree, they lose to the Giants. Worst collapse, 07 Pats or the 2016 Warriors, also a team that won the most regular season games in league history?
It is a simple answer, and the answer is the 2007 Patriots, without question. We're from New England. It's a biased answer, but I think that's the answer all around the country. The NFL is a more popular game, more popular sport. The Patriots, I think, going undefeated during the course of an NFL season is more difficult. There is a superstar element to basketball where if you plop a couple guys together, I bet there's other teams that could have made runs at that Bulls record that just didn't for whatever reason. I don't mean to belittle it. I think it's harder to go undefeated in the NFL. It's such a team game. And, what they could have accomplished, we know the history. It would have just been unbelievable on top of those other championships they won in the years prior. And the other thing is, you have, first of all, New England versus New York. So if you're going to localize it, that's a rival city for Boston. So to lose to New York, Cleveland and Golden State, they have the little rivalry going. But that's not New York, Boston. Especially after all those Red Sox fans could laugh at the Yankees. Down 0-3, come back, stick it. That is a moot point now because of 18-1. They'll just throw that back in your face. So that got wiped away when the Patriots lost in the Super Bowl. And the other thing is, the Warriors last night, they did not have a moment. They could have won the game. But
they didn't have a David Tyree moment.
They didn't have a David Tyree moment. They didn't have an Asante Samuel moment where when I see that ball go towards him, I still think he's going to catch it. But he never does. And they didn't have an Eli Manning getting sacked almost in the pocket moment where you still just can't even watch it.
This is where everyone runs to their toilet and throws up, reliving those memories. The answer clearly is the 07 Patriots because football, it's more difficult. You can't slip up once, 1 in 19 times. The Warriors lost 9 games, and that was the best record percentage-wise, well over 90%. But Football, you can't slip up. 19 games. The league of parity, where everyone is supposed to go 8-8, you go 16-0, and I don't think that we'll ever see that again. A really, really, really good year in the NFL is 12-4, 13-3. So being so close up in the fourth quarter before everything you mentioned, that makes the Patriots collapse worse. Although the Warriors one it's bad.
It's bad. It's bad.
Top 5, I guess. But not as bad as the 07 Patriots.
Another question could be, who was worse in their games, Game 7, the Super Bowl?
Brady was
Tom
not
Brady
good in that
or Steph
Super Bowl.
Curry? Both of them underwhelmed. Both of them maybe a little cocky, a little arrogant. And
both
maybe
Under Armour guys.
Under Armour guys who are a little too cool for school, maybe.
By the way, I have a short sleeve sweatshirt from Under Armour. My friend works for them. They just came out with
I saw
us.
that tweet. Very good.
What do you think of that? In what weather are you like, I need a short sleeve
sweatshirt?
sweatshirt?
Maybe
cool,
breezy.
breezy.
Fall day when you're playing football.
But then the arms are exposed.
Well, it's a Belichick look. Maybe you want to look like
Belichick.
Bill. I don't know why you'd want to look like Bill. But
all right, what do we got next?
All right, coming up right now, Celtics. The draft is coming up this week, depending on when you're watching this.
Thursday.
Thursday is the draft. My question to you is a simple one. What do you want the Celtics to do?
All right, they have number 3 overall. They have 8 in total, 3 in total for the first round. My preference, if they can, is for Danny to package something and get a established superstar, or parlay it, much like they did in 07 to get a Ray Allen, to then get a Kevin Garnett. So if Danny can get creative to get an A-lister in here, that is my preference. There's been mentions of Jimmy Butler. Maybe if DeMarcus Cousins is disgruntled in Sacramento, if he's available, you get him. I don't think Durant's coming here via free agency, so he's out the window. We talked about Kevin Love and Harrison Barnes. I'm not too high on those. If the right package doesn't come, which probably it won't, you select at number 3. I like Jamal Murray out of Kentucky. He can score. God knows in this NBA, if you can score, you can do a lot of things. I think he shot 79 out of 100 threes at his workout. And if they don't like Jamal Murray, I like our friend Chris Dunn at Providence, established, proven point guard at the high PC level of the Big East. And I'd like to see them take a fly on him because I think he's going to be an all-star in this league. What do you think?
Listen, I love your idea about an A-lister. Who do you have as an A-lister?
Is Jimmy Butler an A-lister? No, a B-lister, a B-pluser?
C-minus.
Someone to be on par or better than Isaiah Thomas. Another all-star. An all-star caliber player.
So an all-star, so not a superstar, an all-star.
Superstar, preferably.
Okay, well, preferably, is that realistic, though?
Well, was Kevin Garnett realistic in 07? We didn't know until Ray Allen was.
Okay, if they can do that, if they can get a superstar. Superstar is all I want. All-star is no.
Okay.
Superstar. I do not need an all-star.
So you say superstar or draft?
Superstar or draft. If you can get a superstar, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, DeMarcus Cousins is not. I can't think of another. Anthony Davis. These are all guys that they're not going to get.
Yeah.
But those are superstars. Those are guys that I would be interested in trading the pick. Jahlil Okafor. Don't even start.
I like him.
I like him. But you're not trading the 3rd pick for Nerlens Noel.
No, you aren't.
Okay. If you don't get a superstar, you draft. Because after we just watched the NBA Finals, what did we see?
Homegrown.
We saw homegrown and we saw guards. You just mentioned all the guards. You mentioned Jamal Murray. You mentioned Chris Dunn. I hope they take Chris Dunn. He's my pick.
Buddy Hield,
Buddy Hield would be my number 2 selection. I like him next. 85 out of 100 threes. You mentioned Murray Hield, the shooter. That's a nice piece that they could put in place. Wouldn't be a guy that gets him over any top, but you put him in place. You draft and you hope that one of those guards that you draft turns into a star, turns into a guy that you run your offense through, a la Kyrie Irving. I know I've made the comparison to Chris Paul before. Those are the guys that win in the playoffs, as we've just seen. So I want a guy like that. Hopefully he develops into one.
When we talk Thursday night, I'm going to New York for the draft. Are you going to be left relieved, excited, disappointed? What do you think? What is Celtic fan going to be feeling Thursday night?
Kevin McNamara said that he thinks they're going to select Chris Dunn and then trade him for somebody. So they will select him for somebody and then trade him for maybe a later pick, a different pick. I'm assuming that I will be underwhelmed
Yeah,
come
it's
the
usually
end of Thursday
underwhelmed.
night.
You're never left after drafts feeling good, or draft lotteries for that matter.
I did feel good after the 2012 draft with Dante Hightower and Chandler Jones NFL draft.
Because you
Felt
love
good.
defense.
Love defense. But I would assume that I will feel a little bit underwhelmed. That's my guess.
All right, let's move on to baseball now. David Price had another strong outing Sunday. His last 3 outings really great. In fact, his last 8, I think his ERA is under 3. Is he finally a $217 million worthy ace?
You know, I've heard some people opine that he is, and I think right now, yeah, sure. I mean, he was 1-3. He's 1-3 in June.
Not much run support.
Not much run support. Now, he did give up 9 runs so far in June compared to 20 back in May. Now, he had 6 starts in May, gave up 20 runs. He's only had 4 starts this month. But yes, right now, coming off of Sunday's game, he is pitching like an ace. You know what impressed me? I know he lost, and I hate that, but the fact that he went to San Francisco, a team that was scorching at the time, 2-1, 2 bad home runs he gave up, but he came to play in a big game on a big stage against a very good team. I do think he's pitching like an ace right now, but you know, it just doesn't matter right now.
Right.
It's not what it's about right now because David Price, you know, it's about the playoffs. That's what it's about. We know that he's done it in the regular season before. You pay him for playoff wins. That's what you pay David Price for. So the jury's out.
He's as much of an ace as Stephen Wright is right now. Is he the Red Sox best pitcher? Probably. He is an ace right now. He's finally taking the ball every 5 days, and you as a fan watch and you think, we're going to win tonight. If we don't win, we have a very good shot at it, or we're giving our team a chance to win. And I liked that moment Sunday. I think it was his last strikeout in the 8th where he gave it like a little fist pump. You know what I want out of my ace at Fenway? Do you remember when Pedro used to pitch every 5 days? The stadium was electric, and you knew he was going deep in games, a lot of standing ovations for the strikeout. I felt like yesterday had a little bit of an ace vibe to it, you know? So not only do I want him to pitch well in the box score, but I want his teammates to feel when he takes the ball every 5 days, we're winning today. Or we lost Saturday, we're going to win tomorrow because we have Price. And I think he's turning into that pitcher. And I think I like his moxie. I like his attitude. He has that ace. You know, he's not really afraid of the media. If he has a bad start, he'll own it. He's not going to back down. So, you know what? At the end of the year, we may laugh at how poorly he pitched in April and May, despite getting run support and a good win-loss record.
He's certainly been there and done that. But again, it's about the postseason.
All about
We've
the
seen
playoffs,
him do it in the
which he
regular
hasn't
season
done well.
before. He has to show up in the playoffs, especially for a Red Sox team that hasn't had the success in the last 2 years or whatever it's been in the postseason. That is why he was brought in. Got to get it done now. One guy that is not getting it done, has not gotten it done, is Rusney Castillo. The Red Sox waived him. He is back in Pawtucket. Was the Rusney Castillo contract the worst one in recent memory for the Red Sox?
It's not the worst. It's really bad. But there's something about the offshore players that doesn't bother me as much. Because you're gambling. This guy looks really good playing in this Cuban league, and he's built like a horse, and he looks to be good. Who's he facing in those leagues? He didn't turn out to be the next Yasiel Puig. So it's a gamble. Was it a bad deal? Yes, especially because he's old. What is he, 31?
He's going to be 29 next month.
All right, so he's late 20s. So it's a bad deal. Is it worse than Pablo Sandoval, 5 years, $95 million, and 100% body fat? No. Worse than Carl Crawford, 7 years, I can't talk to the media, I can't deal with Boston, I'm melting down even though I was a 5-tool player in Tampa, $142 million? No. Worse than Hanley Ramirez, yet to be seen. Coming around on Hanley a little bit, even though he doesn't have DH numbers. AJ Przinsky, whatever he got for playing here, I hated him. No. So it's maybe potentially top. I'll put it at top 3 with Sandoval, Crawford, but I'll put it at number 3. That being said, Rusney Castillo, we've been at McCoy a good amount, has a terrific Porsche. Have you seen it? The white with the orange.
That makes me feel good about his baseball.
All right. What is your take on his?
Well, I think that it is worse. I think it could be the worst of all the contracts you just mentioned. At least with Carl Crawford and Pablo Sandoval, I could say to myself, Crawford has been to 4 All-Star games. He's an All-Star. Sandoval is a World Series MVP and has gotten it done when the stage has been the biggest, when the lights have been the brightest in the World Series. So I'm going to give him money and hope he produces here. Rusney Castillo, what has he done? Oh, he looked good in shorts and a shirt that was tight. Terrific. Did he even play? Did they even see him play in Cuba? He worked out. Looked like a machine. Now, I know you said it's a gamble. You have to gamble. These offshore players, you don't know if there are people bidding on them. If you want to get them, you got to pay. You didn't know anything about him. And you said he was 29 years old, late 20s.
He's not young.
If he was 17, maybe I'd feel a little different. But he was already approaching his prime. I mean, it was now or never for him. He didn't have time to come in and develop. $72 million. They still owe him more than 50.
The good thing about
so he's got a Porsche.
The good thing about Red Sox, baseball in general, no salary cap.
Yeah.
It's not our money, so bad contracts are bad, but it doesn't necessarily cripple you.
No, it doesn't cripple
like
you.
football or basketball could.
At least when they bid on Daisuke, he was a part of a World Series champion. So you can say, well, he at least did that. This guy,
Daisuke was good for a couple years. I hated watching him because he was so slow. But wasn't he 14-1 one year to start a season?
He had a couple good years. Probably didn't earn the money they gave him.
It was 50 for the bid to get him, and I think he had a 50 from there. All right, we close out. I think we're running pretty long on this.
Let's close out with the
eight.
U.S. Open. Dustin Johnson yesterday gets his first major championship amidst some controversy. What were your takeaways from what you saw?
Abomination from the USGA. You might have hit the ball. We don't know if you hit the ball, but we're not telling you if you have a one-stroke penalty until after your round. How on earth are you Dustin Johnson, having lost the U.S. Open 1 year prior, melting down just a bit, able to go through those last few holes not knowing what your score is? He essentially had a handicap where he had to give everyone a stroke. So I think it was awful that the USGA didn't tell him then and there. And just, if he said he didn't do it and you don't think he did it. That being said, I'm glad he won. He's always been the big hitter, big talent guy that never came through, so I'm glad he got the monkey off his back. And hopefully he can parlay this into some continued success and be one of those guys with Rory and Spieth there every week that you think will battle. And, I like rivalries in golf. Tiger was awesome, but I felt like he never had anyone pushing him. Mm-hmm. It would be really cool if Spieth, Rory, Dustin Johnson, Jason Day every week just went at it.
Well, I got what I wanted for the U.S. Open because I wanted a guy that I had heard of, a name to win the tournament, and that's what happened. And once again, Oakmont came through because it's been guys only in the World Golf Hall of Fame, I believe, who have won when the U.S. Open has been there. Jack Nicklaus, going back some of the older guys. Johnson's a big name, number 3 in the world right now, ahead of Rory McIlroy, I believe. So he is getting it done. I think he could be the next big thing. He's always contending. He's had top 5 finishes in all the majors, more than some of the other guys who have won majors. That's a thing almost exclusive to guys in the top 10, so he could be next. The USGA is a joke. That was a joke. The fact that that was hanging over our heads is despicable. You can't go and hide the scoreboard in the clubhouse and nobody knows what's going on. The players, the fans, it was ridiculous. And I'm glad they got ripped on Twitter. It's pathetic.
And they got lucky that it didn't happen, that he won by a stroke, and then hey, we're in a playoff all of a sudden. By the way, come back tomorrow because the playoff on the U.S. Open is 18. Everyone around him just melted down.
And I'll finish my point here. Just like I think LeBron James in winning this NBA championship, Dustin Johnson by winning the U.S. Open, now his resume is a more accurate approximation of his talent. Dustin Johnson had way too much talent to never have won a major. LeBron James, way too much talent to have been if he ended up 2-5.
He has a nice comeback story. He had his issues, personal issues.
And he choked in the U.S. Open just last year. Came back.
Yeah, just like LeBron lost last year, won this year.
That's exactly
Alrighty then. That'll do it for this episode of WPRI OOT. Hashtag WPRI OOT. Post this online on WPRI.com on our Twitter handles. Shout out to Greg Kavanaugh on that big wedding Saturday. He's a big fan.
Greg, thank you.
And Mike Traber, another big fan.
Trabes.
All the fans we can get.
That's right. We appreciate the viewership.
We'll see you online and this time next week. Anything to add, Mark?
I do, but we don't have time.
You'll have to wait till next time. Thanks for joining us.